What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. We've been talking a lot about Mark Carney. One of the things I want to focus on right now is Pierre Poilievre's new platform. In fact, he's come out swinging, stating he's going to deport a lot of illegal migrants, that he's going to make sure about 5 million of them are sent packing should he become prime minister. He's talked about axing the tax, building the homes, stopping the crime. But one of the greatest things he's talking about, in fact, not just the saving of GST on new homes, but it's kind of tied into the same thing, and that's axing the capital gains tax altogether. However, there's a few caveats I want to talk about in this video. I think it's important to discuss. But again, I'm enjoying what Pierre is bringing forward. I do think that in comparison to Mark Carney, who's still locking people out of his press events, by the way, I'll remind you, it's important to understand that Pierre is doing what he thinks is best for Canadians, and I think that his platform speaks very strongly towards that. He's now coming forward to say he's going to defer capital gains tax, and I want to cover that here today via an article. Pierre saying that Conservatives promised to deliver on capital gains, deferred tax, on capital gains to domestic boost investment. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising to allow Canadians to defer capital gains tax if they reinvest those earnings in Canada. So again, what he's talking about is that if you were to receive, say a family member passes away, leaves you a home, you sell that, get the profits, the proceeds from that home. That's technically capital gains. If you're reinvesting that back in Canada, you're not going to pay any taxes on that. So you're actually benefiting yourself. The money's going into the economy. It's boosting our GDP. And it's making you, it could investment-wise make you a profit rather than giving it to the government. I've always said I'd rather invest my money somewhere than give it to the government in terms of tax dollars. Let's take a look at what Pierre's talking about here. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising to allow Canadians to defer capital gains tax if they reinvest those earnings in Canada. Poilievre is beginning the second week of the federal campaign election in North York, Ontario, just outside Toronto. The proposed tax deferral window would be open for 18 months beginning in July. The party estimates the policy would cost $5 billion in its first year and $5.5 billion in 2026-2027. Capital gains are incurred when an individual or business sells an asset, like a stock or piece of property, as I mentioned earlier. And right now, Canadians must pay capital gains on 50% of those earnings. That's a lot of cheddar going out the window. Liberal government has plans to increase the inclusion rate, which doesn't shock me. The portion of the capital gains subject to tax to 2/3 from the current level of 50%. Could you imagine paying 2/3 capital gain tax on all of your investments, on all of your properties? Prime Minister Mark Carney announced earlier this month the government was canceling that measure. Again, that's a temporary cancellation. It's no different than him lowering the carbon tax to zero. Mark Carney is doing everything he can right now to convince and do what he does best and lie to Canadians that he's essentially doing what's best for them, that he's going to, hey, I'm going to copy Pierre. I'm going to do everything he says he's going to do just so you guys give me that vote. And as soon as he gets that contract for the 4 years, he's just going to up it all again anyways. It says here the report by the Canadian Press was, again, published March 30th. So, again, it's still recent. I'm curious to see what Mark Carney comes back with, if he's going to try to go in on Pierre hard with that. What's funny is, if we transition that at the wrong time here. Here's Brian Lilly tweeting out that at the Pierre announcement in North York, he says a Conservative government will have no capital gains tax if the profits are reinvested in Canada. Says it could generate billions in investment for the Canadian economy. Let's take a look at the comments. How long until the Liberal Party steals this? Again, as I said, is this why they haven't released an official costs platform? Jason tweeting out, if someone sells an inherited property from their parent and makes a profit, what happens next if they keep the money? Again, what I'm suggesting is maybe investing it in a stock option. Put it somewhere where you're allowed to invest to benefit yourself, like a TFSA or a GIC. Not that they're profitable, but again, if you're going to be taxed on it anyways and throw the money out the window, just put it somewhere that you can reinvest. I'm guessing RRSPs would be open to that. And while you do pay taxes on RSPs, the government gives you more back, and you're really not giving it away to the government. I don't know. I think it's I think it's the better option. Another comment says, I'm a conservative, but the silly tax policy, it will make the accountants and lawyers richer because it's so complicated. I don't think so. Um, average investor will make irrational investments due to taxes, just cut spending and overall taxes significantly. So obviously, this account is ill-informed. If you're sinking the money back into the economy, you're not making silly investments. You're investing in Canada. You're investing in our country. Of course, Jake Mill saying Pierre keeps bringing on strong ideas that'll actually help the country. This one saying this is a fantastic idea. This will bring a lot of investment back to Canada. Even if you don't have any capital gains yourself, this pledge would allow Canadian companies and entrepreneurs to create new jobs with the investments. Another one saying it's a great idea. I agree. I don't understand some of these comments. Again, liberal bots are out in full force during the campaign to make sure that they're poisoning the well, so to speak. And that's why I've said time and time again, this is the most important election of our time, folks. Make sure to get your voter cards, make sure to register to vote. Make sure that on election day, if there's a lineup, you wait in that lineup. Make sure you get your X on that ballot and vote for whoever you want to vote for, but just make sure you participate in this election. I would assume anybody watching this channel is not voting Liberal or NDP, but nonetheless, those votes count. Those votes are going to matter more than ever. So make sure you get out and vote. Make sure you support your local candidate. Make sure you get your name on that ballot. At least then, if we lose this election, if there's shenanigans, if there's trickery, tomfoolery, whatever you want to call it, we can at least say we did our due diligence. We have the right to complain. I'll be here regardless to show you what's going on, what's happening. So again, make sure if you enjoyed this video, folks, if it's your first time here, I hope that the video has earned your subscription. Hit that button. Make sure you do, because Mark Carney and his Liberals are doing everything in their power right now to censor news, censor media from getting out. Click that button, turn on your bell for all notifications so that you're told every time a video is going to drop. Make sure you subscribe to all political channels that you follow if for the same effect, to make sure you're getting all the news you deserve going into this election. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, our live streaming show, where I'm joined by my very beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, as we go back and forth through everything that's happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up ahead, as well as hearing what you have to say on the greatest YouTube community on the platform. We look forward to hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.